Hello, everyone. This is part two because the end of part one was where we crashed. So I'll put a link to part one. Go and see part one. It only lasts about 8 minutes. It's the introduction. I won't say that again. I'll just go into the show, which is the what is it? What is it? It's the sorry, my poor old computer. It's showing its age. It's the Creative Smartphone Photography Show, and we're looking at your photographs, which are on the theme of wooden. So let's go straight into it because I've already introduced it in part one. And we were here. I told you about this shot here. So if you want to hear me rambling on about this shot, go to part one, which I will link to, and then we can get into your shots. So this is Jean, who is, well, it's things made of wood. So she says, I looked to Mother Nature for my wooden objects as I was vacationing in Colorado. So this is a log with a branch reflecting on the water. There's a beautiful reflection there. Now, I guess, theoretically, it's supposed to be things made of wood. So I guess you could call this, is this a natural bridge made of wood? Maybe. Thanks for contributing, Jean. Let's go on. We have This Is Me. Now, this is something which I think inspired some people. A beautiful, lovely old wooden toy. I think it's at least 100, maybe 120 years old. It was made. Do you know what it is? It was made for my grandfather, a grandfather I never knew because he died when my mother was about 5 or something like that. So it's a family heirloom. It's a lovely thing, and I put a video somewhere. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see this, but let's see if it does work. I'm just clicking here. I think somehow I need to. Yeah, you did. Hang on. Okay, so can you see that? I have to do it again. There you go. I hope you can see that. So hopefully you saw that. I don't know if you did or not, but basically, you squeeze it together at the bottom, and this wooden guy does a leap. He does a sort of swings over the top. So I tried to make it a bit sort of nice looking. The background is fuzzy, and you can see though that there's a lot of old pictures. There's an old fireplace. So yeah, I'm trying to put a bit of atmosphere in there, and you can see how crudely made it was. And I was talking to my mother about this, and in those days, or maybe I don't know who I was talking to, but in those days they didn't buy toys; they made them. You know, they carved them out of wood and strung them together, and that was the toy. That was the and you probably only got one toy from your parents. You know, this was the Christmas toy, or this was the birthday toy. You can see the face is very crudely done, and his eyes are nails. So you know, pretty cool. That was that. And I saw a few other very sweet little toys coming up as well. This was me as well in trying to inspire you. This is where I am. Just to remind you, if you haven't seen part one, I'm in the Lake District, and as this photograph here shows, this is the Lake District, and that was me. You know, things made of wood. What else have we got? So this is Angular, a small wooden horse in two different versions of editing, and it decorates a piece of furniture in my apartment. And she has painted it in an old style. And what a beautiful style this is. The processing that she's used here is lovely as well. Now, I was talking earlier in part one about contre-jour, which means when the light is behind you. In my photograph, it was the sun that was going down, highlighting things in between it and me, like highlighting edges. And that's exactly what's happened here, except, yeah, it probably is the sun actually. And it's highlighting the edges of the horse beautifully. And there's enough light, or she's played with it enough that the thing that is near you isn't completely dark. Even the shadow, which is beautiful, has lots of lovely texture in it. On wood, by the looks of it, a wooden toy on wood. And there's another one. Yeah, those two. So good for you, Angela. More nice shots, Dorothy. The bridge and boats are made of wood. We passed it earlier. There you go. So, you can interpret it the way you like. Well, the theme was things made of wood. So there's a bridge made of wood. And in my shot, the first one I showed you, the boats were made of wood. The bridge was made of, the jetty was made of wood. The duck wasn't made of wood, but everything else was. Funky angle there. This was very interesting. I'm not sure if this thing from Dorothy was actually shaped by hand, or if it's just a piece of driftwood or something. But you look at it and you immediately see, most people see some sort of animal, which is pretty amazing. So that's kind of hovering halfway between made of wood and a bit of wood that we imagine something in, which is wonderful, isn't it? And I know Dorothy is an absolute expert in seeing strange things in pieces of wood, and she's done it again. Well done, Dorothy. What do you see, by the way? I see a dog. Some people say they see a wolf, but I see more of a dog rather than a sort of a really wild animal. I can imagine is an Alsatian or something like that. From Jean, wooden Swedish horse and rooster that had belonged to my husband's parents. So we're going back in time again. There's a kind of trend for having wooden toys. Again, in France, there was a trend a little while ago for having, I don't know what you call it, but it's a little bicycle that doesn't have any pedals. It doesn't have a brake. It's made of wood, I think, and you just swing your legs on either side. And I think it's great because if you want to brake, you just put your legs down. It's not dangerous, but it's great for getting balance. There's none of this, running after a kid once you've taken the stabilizers off, hoping they don't crash. Kids have got their balance already, and it's a little wooden toy. So hand painted by the looks of it. They definitely show their wear. And of course, this is wonderful. If it was bright and shiny, where would the charm in that be? And I still display them in my kitchen window. This is angular. This one caused some comments, actually. Okay, there's only 2 comments here, but I know that I commented with people about this. This reminded me for some reason of a Dali painting. Not all of Dali's stuff was surrealist. Sometimes it was just somewhat mysterious. And there's a picture in my mind of a woman at a window staring out. We don't see, we're behind her. We see her staring out at the sea or something. And this is a very enigmatic shot. Where are the diners? There's a table, it's set, it's waiting for people. There's a sea, which is spookily empty. Where are the boats? Where are the birds? There's nothing. And there are no people. So I find that normally you would want some sort of human presence, normally a person. Like I'm wandering around the hills at the moment with my family, and it's lovely, but most of it's green, So I often, sometimes I have an orange T-shirt, and I play the point of interest by being some guy in an orange T-shirt walking into the distance, because otherwise it's an empty scene. Okay, it's nature, but it's still empty and a little bit boring. So there is a dash of red here. There's no humans, but there is a human. The humans are, get this, the humans are almost present by their absence. They're an absent presence, because a table which is set with 5 chairs is waiting for 5 people. So it makes you ask questions. Who's going to come and sit at the table? Why haven't they arrived yet? What are they going to eat? All those sort of questions are begged by this photograph. Have I blown it up yet? So yeah, and then there's the tones. I think she called it something like 50 shades of blue. Yeah, I didn't want any strange angles or perspective or effects in the photograph. Straight on, just what the eye could see. I love the simplicity and the calmness of this image. There you go, and I totally get that. It's the sort of thing you could put on a wall, isn't it? This is me. I was playing with the sculpture. I got this sculpture from it's a wooden sculpture from a market in the north of Paris. I think can you see what it is? I think it's an African woman holding a pot of water or something on her head. Maybe it's easier for me to see it because I know what it looks like. And then I played around with shapes and colors and forms. I'll blow it up. You've got to play with simplicity. Sometimes simplicity is far more striking than too much stuff. And I think that's what's happened here. The former. It's simple. There's a kind of an echo. This is a curtain or the edge of a wall or something. Can you see a curvy lamp just behind it? I placed that on the lamp, but most of it's blown out. So you can only see these kind of stripes, the edge of the lamp. As happenstance would have it, this is a table. And the curve of the table was perfect for my signature. I didn't plan it, just happened like that. So there's a kind of ethereal purity to it. Highlighting the object has to be highlighted and yet complemented by the background, and turning it a kind of soft sepia helps do that. It gets rid of any extraneous colors, which could distract you. Although having said that, even the original was just shades of gray, basically. So well done me. Nice shots from Angela. It's irritating when someone seems to live in the middle of wonderful enigmatic photograph land. Where is that? I'd like to live there. So there's your sort of abandoned boat at a funky angle with a nice dash of red under a tree that is blown up. Here's another one. Yeah, this one's a bit messier. Yeah, you've got other stuff. It's not so sort of what's the word? I've got the word in French, épuré, but I can't find it in English. Like, nothing except one or two things. Like in this shot, you've just got the boat, the sea, the tree, which is wonderful. You've got a bit of stuff on the tree, but you can't get away from that. There's nothing else to take away from that. I would have probably cropped a little bit of the left and the bottom to make it even more focused on the boat, and that would bring the boat more down to the bottom left, but that's just me. Here she's got really close to the boat, which is great. It's what you should do, really. In many cases, what many people do is they don't get close enough to the main object of interest, and it gets lost. That it could have got lost here. You've got this kind of wooden jetty. There's a bunch of stuff here. There's the logs behind. There's another jetty. There's a boat on the water. There's a town. So that could have become a bit difficult to see what the actual subject is, but she's got really close to this upturned boat. So there's no doubt about it. The boat is the subject, and then you've got whatever's happening behind it. A nice angle. You see she's not straight onto the boat. If she'd been straight onto the boat, well, let's say the fact that she isn't straight onto the boat leads us into the photograph along the lines of the boat towards whatever is next. And of course, she took the shot, and whatever was behind the shot was behind it. You can't get rid of the town, you can't get rid of the jetty, but she has made it clear that she's really interested and intrigued, or maybe she loves the texture of this upside down boat, and whatever else is around it is around it. But there's no doubt what the subject is. That's what I'm getting at, which is a problem in many people's photographs. They don't highlight the subject enough. Highlight it by making it the thing in focus, by making it the most colorful thing, or choosing a subject which is very colorful. Highlight it by getting in close. If you use a wide angle lens and you're getting close to a car, for example, it gets really impressive and makes it even clearer what the subject is. In my masterclass, there's a whole unit, if not a whole week, on the subject. The subject is essential. And you might think that's a bit strange, but so many something that makes so many shots just touristy is lacking a clear subject or a snapshot. They haven't chosen a subject, or the subject is someone smiling, a cheesy grin. Okay, it's a snap, but it's not artistic. Jean, very cute. Another little toy. She found it at her parents' house and decided to bring it home. Do your parents know that you stole this toy, Jean? Maybe they spent years looking for it and cried themselves to sleep at night, just wishing they could find that dear little... All right, I'll stop now. You built it. I built this horse-drawn cart from a craft kit provided at summer camp when I was about 10. That's wonderful. I remember how much I enjoyed putting it together. Ah, lovely. Maybe that's why I've kept it all these years. Well, of course you should keep it. That's so sweet. You know, and again, in part 1, before I crashed, by the way, I am, looking for a donation of a new computer. It doesn't have to cost more than 1,500 euros. I'm not asking. I said that one of the things about photography, yes, it's a hobby, etc., but it's also a channel through which we access our emotions and our memories, and we can share them with others. And for me, a topic like made of wood, it allows us to dive back into our past in some cases, like that toy that I showed you, which was my granddad's that I never knew. In a way, I could feel some sort of link with my mum's dad that I never knew. Obviously, his little hands must have held it and played with it, came through my mother. It's still at their house, and I knew it as a kid. So, very, very deep, some of these things. This is Nazanin, who has managed to supply us with many things made of wood. When she goes for it, she goes for it. And I've got a feeling I know where this is. I think this might be the 𝗦𝗠𝗔𝗥𝗧𝗣𝗛𝗢 and maybe the Parc Floral. So thank you, Nazanin. I'm sure I know this. I think I played around with taking photos of this as well. I like the people sitting in the bench in the background as well, which is nice. Gives you a feeling for, well, it's a crazy sculpture, isn't it? I think I looked at this sculpture and I saw 2 or 3 strange heads in this. Try a few different angles on it as well. I might have gone a bit closer, got rid of some of the empty sort of concrete stuff and possibly just focused on this with the people in the bench, maybe. I don't know. I wasn't there, so I don't know. There's a beautiful reflection there. Beautiful reflection. I didn't see that the first time. I just saw this crazy object, and then I've just seen the reflection now. You've got that nicely. Please don't crash on me, computer. I'm very nervous. Stick with me here. Stick with me. All right. Yeah, if you've just, yeah. What else? This, I don't get this. I don't know what it's supposed to be. I mean, it's obviously supposed to be something. Maybe it's just a chair. Maybe they've turned a tree into a chair. And someone has drawn a little funny face on the top bit. Is it supposed to be something stuck into the tree, but it's actually made of the tree? I don't know. By the way, I took don't know if I can find this, but in the local park behind my parents' house, let's see if I can find this, is something made from exactly this. It's made from a tree which was chopped down. They left a good bit of the trunk, and then they carved the top half of the trunk into something. What do you think they carved it into? If you're watching, oh, by the way, if you're watching, sorry, I forgot, because my computer crashed, I think no one's watching. Someone is watching. Hi, I don't know who you are. Great to see you too, but I'm not sure who you are, person who's watching. Thank you for watching. If you're watching the replay, thank you. Say hello, say hello. So this is the photography show, if you have no idea what's going on. And I'm looking for a sculpture from my local park at my parents' place. And I've got quite a few things made of wood. Things like this, you see. My son looking through a gate. It doesn't want to focus there. Hello. There he is. That's my son looking through a gate. Poor kid. I get him to do some stupid stuff. And yeah, so we walked through a park, and just bear with me here. Bear with me. I don't know if I've got it on this or not. Yeah, okay, here we go. Okay, here we go. So this is my son. He's got his he's got his ski poles, his walking poles, and behind there's a, by the way, in case you're getting bored, there is a kind of a twist to this tale. So it's a tree stump. Focus, please. There it is. Okay, it's a tree stump. The tree stump, the top half of the tree stump was carved into the shape of a dog. And although you can't see it, the dog is actually called Will, and that is my surname. So there you go. All right, back to the photographs. Facebook user, who are you? Just tell me who you are. I'd love to know. Okay, so this is this strange sculpture. Maybe it's a chair. This is funny. It looks like a horse or something. Is it a bench? Is it a really rugged bench? I like it anyway. And what else have we got? And there's a standard sort of chair carved from a tree. It's sort of half sculpture, half still the tree trunk. I love those rugged benches. And there's another one, funky. And what's this? Birds' nests on bits of a tree. And back to that. Thank you, Nazanin. Okay. Oh, did you see that properly? It was too small, was it? I don't think you saw what I just showed you. Sorry. Okay. Hey. So I don't think you saw what I just showed you, but never mind. This is Marietta. I don't know why I look anonymous. You look anonymous, Marietta, because you need to go to, let's see if I can find it. You need to go to this place, StreamYard.com/Facebook, and you just say, yes, you can show my name, and then it'll show your name on the comments. StreamYard.com/Facebook. Thanks, Marietta. I don't think I know you. I appreciate you watching, and I'm talking about photographs. All right, so let's carry on. This is from Dorothy, and some lovely wooden items from Sweden. And that is big, yeah. Made in, what sort of wood is that? Is it rosewood or something? Looks very nice. Reindeer antler and curly birch. Made from reindeer antler, really? The bowl was created by a craftsman in a primeval forest, somewhere between Värmland and Dalarna. I thought it might be, I wasn't sure. You know, this reminds me of stuff, I should have got it, but because I'm at my parents' house. But my uncle, who I don't really know, never knew really, not very well, he carved stuff in wood, like fruit bowls and things. It was absolutely beautiful. So thank you for sharing that, Dorothy. This is Angela looking. So I think it's a roadside. It's a roadside thing in Greece. And I remember when I was in Greece, I lived in Greece a little bit, and on many roads there were little boxes with little candles and, you know, the Virgin Mary or whatever in there. And unfortunately, it was to remember people who died in road accidents, because the roads are quite dangerous in some of Greece, not to mention the drivers. I remember being scared out of my mind when I went in the car with my ex-person's brother. So that is lovely. And Ingrid has found something in a house of her friends, quite an amazing sculpture made of wood, made of all sorts of things. Loads and bunches of wood. It's like a scene. It's like there's fish there. I don't know what's going on. But there's things to see happening, and you see more the more you look. And one of the objects of this exercise is to see what things are made in wood. This is I'm not sure how much of this wooden thing is an effect and how much of it's really made of wood. Are the pieces actually made of wood, or are the pieces made of metal? There's almost a strange sort of 3D effect on the chessboard. It's amazing. It's really beautiful. That's from Susan. Hello, Susan. Do you think about the next right move, or think a few moves ahead? I was never a great, particularly amazing at chess, Susan. This is Rob, and this we discovered something about Rob. if it would like to blow it up. We discovered that Rob is a carver, amongst other things, and he actually made these beautiful fish and ducks. And possibly he made the base of that as well. So, and he also made this, a wooden radio-controlled tugboat in his lost hours, as the French would say. That's superb. And there's a Paddington. Talking of which, I'm in the Lake District, so Paddington is accompanying me to the tops of the mountains that I am conquering this time. Paddington, say hello to Paddington. And my other mascot is Eiffel, the Eiffel Tower, which some people think is a bit naff as a mascot, but they're actually thinking about the French mascot for the Olympic Games, which is actually a bit crap. But you know, this is my soft Eiffel Tower, and I love her. Okay, we've got a few more, and then we'll look at, if we have time, we'll look at some of my photographs and call it a day. So this is stuff from Nazanin. I'm not sure what have we got here, Nazanin. This isn't talking of Paddington. In her thing, she says there's a corner in Paddington Recreation, and I was just talking about Paddington. There you go. Coincidence after coincidence. Let's blow these up. What have we got, Nazanin? What have you given us this time? So a bunch of sculptures. I love this because there's places like this in the Lake District as well, where they've turned trees into sort of, there's a place you can go in the Lake District. Do you know the Gruffalo? They've turned lots of tree stumps into characters from the Gruffalo, which is great. Here I see a sort of a slug. I don't know what that is. A fish, I'm not sure. That looks like, help me out here. Is it a face? Is it flowers? Acorns, maybe? Can you see this? Last time I think I didn't show. This is cool. I like this a lot. It's an apple with a bite out of it. Maybe sponsored by a certain computer manufacturer. That's a ladybird, very cute. That is really cute, a snail for my French friends. I like that. I don't know what that one is though, sorry. We've got a bunch of sticks in a river from Jean. Sorry, I'm being cheeky. This is in fact a construction, not just a, oh, Jean has got a message here. I thought she'd left a comment and was going to tell me not to be rude about her pile of sticks. This is actually a construction, not man-made, beaver-made. It's part. This is where beavers, that animal that makes dams in rivers, that's where they live. Apparently, they live underneath this construction here, which is pretty amazing. So thanks for that. I said man-made, but it could be beaver-made, couldn't it? This is me with two things that I was excited to take photographs of. The boomerangs, of course. The bottom right one is more of a real boomerang. And it will, if you throw it properly, it should come back. The one in the top left, to be honest, I don't think it comes back. It's just a massive, great, nasty lump of wood to kill whatever you throw it at. So that's from Australia in 1975, believe it or not. Can you imagine? 1975. I spent a year in Australia. This one's got carvings in it of probably there's a kangaroo, and that might be an emu, which is the Australian version of a ostrich. And this has got typical Australian things painted on it. Aboriginal, if you're allowed to call them that. I don't know what you call them. From Beatrice. Another lovely little toy. It's very special, she says. I bought this little horse in Prague when I was pregnant. And this is, I think there's another photograph with this little artist's model as well. Blow that up for posterity. You know, sometimes the simplest toys are some of the most meaningful for us. From Angela. She says she made the frame. I don't know if She made it or she decorated it. Maybe she made it look oldie worldy. I don't want to suggest she doesn't know how to make a frame like this, but I certainly don't. I think maybe she made it look antique. That's an art in its own right. So thank you for that. This is interesting. It is made of wood, and the story of this is, if I can get it right, actually I don't have to because it's written. The first street called General de Gaulle Street in the world. It was made in wood in Cameroon when General de Gaulle visited in 1940, so it was early in the war and very early in the resistance. He wasn't a famous general at this time, and they didn't really know who he was, in fact, so they wrote his name up with kind of the British flag in there for some reason as well, and they got his name wrong because there were two L's in Gaulle in his name, and they didn't know that. I think they spelt Gaulle like one of the old name for France. So they shoved in the second L, which is really cool. Can you imagine? This really was a street name, and it's hand painted. It's wonderful. And this is now in the Museum of the Order of the Liberation, where Beatrice works. Nazanin is back with some more finds. Where do you find these Nazanines? Ridiculous. I don't have anything like this near me. That's a weird face. That's wonderful. I'd love to go walking in this wood wherever it is. Is it near Paris, or is this also in London? That's great. It's an elephant. No, it's some sort of beetle. Some sort of beetle. You haven't told us. Some sort of beetle and a snake or something made out of a piece of wood. I think that's an insect hotel. We have these in Paris, and one of their, they have things with loads of holes and all sorts of interesting knick-knack corners for insects to go in. And one of the most striking characteristics is that I have never seen a single insect near any of them. But it's probably good for good for the sponsors. Ah, that's cute. Fox. I think it's a fox and a hedgehog. It's a hedgehog. I like that photograph. I like the angle you've taken it from. And the colours. It looks autumny. That's amazing. It's an elephant. I know an elephant when I see one. What else? There you go. And what else have we got? I don't know what we're doing for time now because I've been live for 33 minutes. Okay. By the way, if you've just joined in the middle, there is a part 1 which lasts about 8 minutes, and then I crashed. A swing. Discovered an old wooden swing walking through the park in Colorado. A wooden swing. That looks like a rather pleasant, gentle swing, not a crazy one. I'll blow that up for posterity. Noting the shadow, which is quite cool. I know that Jean is a fan of photographs with shadows. This is from John Norris. Hello, John. Nice to see you. With a wonderful piece of, is it marquetry, would you call it? Wooden inlay piece hanging in the Arkansas Museum of Fine Arts. So that's made of a huge number of little pieces of very carefully cut wood. Amazing. That's incredible. If you imagine, and I'm sure this is true, that it's all made of pieces of wood. And yet you can see the scene. It's just trees going off into the distance. It's incredible. And of course, they're trees made with bits of tree. So it's really wonderful. Aren't humans amazing when they want to be? Okay, I think we might be at the end there. No, we're not. So Beatrice has a very cute little bird's nest, bird house. But is it really? Can they go in? Yeah, there must be a little hole there they can go in. Wouldn't they be like upset because there are other birds there already? I don't know. Maybe it's just pretty to look at and there aren't really birds going in there. Very nice, very nice. And Sharon from, I think, from New Zealand, picked up from a beach, a bit of driftwood, which is the best ever back scratcher from a holiday in New Zealand. Thanks for playing, Sharon. And you've also shown us a bit of your view from your window. Is that New Zealand? I think it is, isn't it? I've never been, but I did live for a year in Australia. This is from 𝗏𝗴, and Eye of the Tiger. So it's a bit like this, funnily enough. Here's one I prepared earlier. Look, I've got one too. It's not the same one. And she's used a very nice soft effect here to sort of unify everything. An oldie effect on an old little set of chest of drawers, which is very small actually. You know, this is a pendant, so it's actually quite small. And she bought the little wooden cabinet when she was 15. So, you know, about 20 years ago, or something like that. What else have we got here? So thanks for playing with this. Do you have any ideas for a new theme? I have one actually. I have an idea for a new theme, but do contribute. This is from Teresa. Some sort of wigwam or something. Did some beach combing. What amazing wood you can find on beaches. Wow. And I think this is actually getting more and more, it's more and more difficult to find because more and more artists are using driftwood to create art. I think it's, you know, it's getting becoming a bit of a thing. And so it had been assembled into something by previous visitors. She loves the differences in tone, and she wanted to add some effects to the picture, but felt it would take away from the driftwood colors. Yeah, well, absolutely. Yeah, you know, sometimes, rarely, but sometimes I do decide, look, just let nature do its thing for once, especially if there's another strong element, which is, you know, for example, the shapes are very strong, or there's a very strong color. You should let that be the most striking thing and not try to add some special effect, because it's a fine line between using a special effect, and that can even just be, you know, sharpening things up a bit, and the effect. There's a fine line between improving the original, but people not thinking that you've used an effect, and the effect taking over, and people just see the effect. So watch out for that. So that's just beautiful in its own right. I mean, you have made the background a bit fuzzy. But that's a photographic technique. It's not a special effect. As I often say, the photograph itself should be worth taking with no special effects at all. The photograph should be worth taking. You should be able to look at it afterwards and think, wow, what a cool photograph. And then decide if you want to use, I mean, there's different types of special effects, some to make it look crazy, and some just to making it sharper is an effect. You know, it's not reality. If the photograph is fuzzy, it's fuzzy. So making it sharper after you've taken it is an effect, but it's one which doesn't add something artificial. It's how you would have liked it to be. Correcting the lighting, you know, that if you don't go over the top, that's not like an effect to make it look like a painting or something. It's just correcting something that wasn't as good as it should have been. So you have to decide on that. So probably a good choice to not use a special effect on that, unless of course you've got a certain special effect which is it's your style, and you use it on every photograph. That's an option. And this is Sharon with a boomerang, which is quite similar to my one, isn't it? The one which is more not so rough. Okay, and this is probably a game, isn't it? It's an old game. What do you say? Going to be late with this. Been sick. Oh, sorry. A boomerang from visiting Australia because she's a Kiwi, and it's a spinning top. Oh, this is a spinning top, and this is a wooden maze puzzle from Perth. That's where I lived. I lived in Perth for a year. All right, and I think we're at the end, folks. That was the. Just gonna make myself a little bit more comfortable here, and I'm going to show you some of my photographs, and then we'll call it a day. So, so thank you very much for sharing all of these wonderful photographs. make that a bit bigger. Wonderful to see them, and isn't it great? You know, a new theme and all sorts of new things come out. We get a little dive into people's pasts, and we share a bit of our own as well, which is great. It's what it's all about. Now, let me quickly show you a couple of my latest photographs, if I can find them. So, actually, I wanted to show you something from the group, which is not a wooden thing. So I very recently, a few minutes ago, added a couple of photographs. I added that one, but that is a wooden theme. This is the view from my window right now. I could literally, and I could literally look at this building. Okay, now look at what I'm going to show you. You can almost see there. You see that house. Look at the windows of the house. Can you see the windows of the house? And the chimneys. Well, this is looking out of that window from where I am. Can you see anything interesting? Well, there's a bird on the chimney there. There's a little bit of a frame. If I show you this, you can quickly see there's a plant there. Can you see the plant? Well, I used that as a tiny little frame in the bottom left, in the left and bottom left and left. I'm looking through a window, so there could be some distortion or dirt, but it hasn't shown up too much. I've used a special, like a frame, added afterwards, and I've softened it a bit. So I have used special effects on that to make it a bit more romantic. But the thing I like most about this, can you see? There's a little girl sitting in the window. It's so sweet, and I took this through a window, looking at a girl looking out of a window opposite. So there's something very sweet about that. I really like it. And that's all I've got to say about it. You know, you can be sitting in your own living room and you can get a photograph you're really pleased with. So no excuses. It was a rainy day, by the way. It doesn't look too rainy, but it was rainy. So she was looking out at the rain. I was looking out at the rain. Okay, I'm just wondering if there's any other that I put here recently. Don't know if I saw that. Who's that? Oh, you didn't put you put woods, hashtag woods instead of hashtag wooden. Okay, all right. Won't dwell on it. All right. Just wonder if there's another photograph I published somewhere recently, maybe in Today's the Day. You can feel free to join Today's the Day and at any time and share something fun that has happened to you. It's my Today's the Day group on Facebook. I think I posted a photograph here. That's me up in the hills. That isn't what I wanted to show you. No, maybe not. All right, I'm going to go back. I'm going to go on to my recent photographs now, and I've got a few chapters which are completely incomplete because I've chosen a theme, and I suggest you do this too. Choose a theme, and it doesn't matter if you can't complete it immediately, but this theme is, can you guess? There's one. Look in the top left. There's two. Look in the top left. Very old sign there. So old, it's difficult to even know what it says. And this is the other one. There's going to be 9 signs eventually. And that's the other one, which is a very old sign in a street which is devoted to graffiti. And it's got graffitied, unfortunately, but it gives it a bit of character. And I think I've talked about these before, so I won't go into detail, but it's just old signs found on the houses and apartments in Paris. That's my theme. I have to find 6 more, and it's going to make a nice grid. So I recommend you do that from time to time. Choose a theme, put them together, and it'll drive your photography. As soon as you've got a theme in mind, you'll be walking around looking for things, and even if you don't, you'll spot them when you weren't expecting to, because your brain is saying, don't forget the theme, don't forget the funny signs theme, Sab. And it's amazing how often it works. Now I'm going to show you this, which is a completed chapter. There's no theme, although there are a couple of shots, actually 3 shots, which are linked. Can you see which ones they are? You could say that the 2 in the top left and the bottom right are quite similar, because I'm looking up at a lamp and a building, from somewhere in Paris, and in the bottom right, I'm looking down. So that's nice. There's a nice diagonal. Even the diagonal of the photograph, if you look at it, you can see there's a, it's not a direct diagonal at 45 degrees. That wouldn't be very nice. But there is a slight sloping down of the top left one towards the bottom right. And the bottom right photograph is, in fact, slightly sloping up towards the top left. Okay, maybe it's a coincidence, maybe it's not, who knows. And there's a lamp there. This is going down to streets below, and this one is looking up to the sky. And okay, I'm not sure if there is much interesting here, but there's a bit of graffiti. It's the same graffitied street. And something funny is there's a plaque in the style of the Paris street names, and yet it says so it's somebody's street art of some sort. And this is interesting because it goes down from Paris had a series of walls built as it grew. Each time it grew too big for its walls, they knocked the wall down and built another one further out. And this has left a lot of reminders of these walls. And obviously the top of the wall was higher than the bottom. So this staircase is climbing up towards us to what was the top of one of the old Paris walls. Great, huh? And there's another theme here, and that is these three. This one, where am I? Where's Sab? This is one. This is another. And this is the final one. And in 30 years in and around Paris, this is the first time I managed to get a reasonable view of the 14th of July parade. Some people call it the Bastille Day parade. Funnily enough, the French don't really. They call it the 14th of July parade. And selected units from the French forces, and occasionally guest ones, parade. This is the French Foreign Legion, and they have certain things which others don't. They have a leather apron, for example, and they have an axe. This guy in the bottom right has an axe over his. So they have certain things which, and they have beards. They have beards. So I won't go into details. I'll go into details on the Paris show, which will probably be in a few days. But in terms of the photography, if you're stuck in a stand with parade people going past, it's kind of difficult to be creative. You've just got to do your best. So I tried to do my best. For example, I've got a French lamp in the right, and I've got the French flag on the left. I did my best. The top of the photograph, you've got a bit of blue above the trees, and you've got some more trees. So I did my best with what I had. And there's a diagonal here, and there's a diagonal of the tank, the armored vehicles. And there's a nice space there for my name. So this one again. Now this I tried to get. It was quite difficult, but I tried to get the effect of the people marching in a row. It's so impressive to see so many humans doing exactly the same thing at the same time. It really makes you think as well. I won't go into details on that either, but there's something extremely impressive when you see this. They're almost, it's like they're part of a machine, a single machine, which is what they're supposed to be. When you're in the army, to an extent, you say, I will do whatever my commanding officer tells me, within reason. And when you see so many people who have basically signed up, literally, and also in their minds and their spirits, they've signed up to this ethos. Almost to if you take that to its logical conclusion, that includes dying for your country. So it's pretty profound. And when I compare that to how I feel about it, would I do that? Basically the answer is pretty much no. And yet we live in a free country because a lot of people said yes. So a lot of things start churning around in my mind when I see this sort of display, which makes it very impressive for me. Guess who got the biggest cheer? Do you think it was the tank guys? Was it there were also
the fire brigade people were marching. The police marched as well, which is kind of, you know, there's a lot of people, they don't like the police, especially in, you know, in the suburbs. So basically, the animal guys got a big cheer because, you know, well, dogs, cute dogs. The police got a big cheer. The firemen, all fire people, always get a big cheer, the firefighters, because, you know, they risk their lives, and also they're closer to home. It's more difficult to feel very close emotionally to people who are fighting, sometimes in a rather strange foreign war, which is difficult to understand. But when, you know, the firefighters, they would come to your house if it was burning down. So it's much closer to home. The French firefighters, they also play a double role. They help people who are sick and who have a heart attack. They arrive. They kind of play that double role. So they're also, you know, much closer to the hearts of people. We understand, you know, if someone's sick, they will arrive in big vehicles with the sirens blaring and try and save your life. In France, one of the most tragic and disturbing things that we see when there is a violent riot is that the firefighters who try to help people who have been wounded get attacked themselves, you know, whilst they're trying to help people who have been injured. And that you really start asking yourself, what is going on with our society? But anyway, that's another story. This one is a good one for the center. I think it's this crazy void. This is where you see an abstract piece of art in a really boring place. I'm walking through an underground train station, and I just saw this and I thought, that's funny. This poor little bucket here. Did you see the bucket? What do you do? How can you turn something which is boring and not artistic at all into something artistic? Well, you do something that makes it less normal. And, you know, this corridor is not at a 30-degree angle. It's straight. You know, you don't fall down the slope there. So you move it away from reality and you can start moving it towards an abstract piece of art. I like the angles. And there's a bucket. And the funny thing is, however modern the train stations are in Paris, so many of them still have buckets for drips coming from above. They can't seem to make a waterproof train station. Dorothy's watching. Hello, Dorothy. Nice to have you. I'm just about to finish, Dorothy. Had a bit of a problem with my connection, with my computer a little while ago. Apart from that, this is a Paris Metro, which it does have an enigma because it doesn't actually lead to a Paris Metro station. It's just sitting there outside the headquarters of the Paris Metro company. This is me showing you the reason that I'm in France. And what else? And this is a little piece of magic that brushed past me a little while ago as I was sitting on a Paris bench eating a sandwich. A princess drifted by, and I thought, wow, that's nice. So, you know, magic happens if you've got your eyes open for it. And the last thing I'll show you is my new chapter, which is in the process of being made. There are 3 so far. There isn't a theme. There's a picture of a train station. It's good because it says the Orleans railway, but it's not Orleans station. I'll leave you to discover which station it is. You've got some crazy scaffolding, the biggest scaffolding construction in Europe, apparently, at the moment, which is one of the Paris train stations covered in this crazy scaffolding as they repair the wonderful old arched ceiling. And here is it's a Paris train station, but someone who is definitely letting you know that they have British affiliations. Chilling out with a guy going past having a look. I don't know what this photograph is worth. It's worth what it's worth. It was worth publishing because I did. And I will leave it at that. By the way, if you want to follow my Lake District adventures, you can go to lakelandchronicles.com and read my blog, which you find by going to moo, and you'll find articles and photographs from my Lakeland adventures. You click on each of these and you will find a photograph and some words to go with it. Have you chosen a place which you are going to immortalize on a very regular basis through your photography? I think you should. Choose a place which is interesting, not try and, a reasonable place with enough stuff. It could be a town, for example, and decide that whatever else you do, you're going to record that town in all its glory, the little details, the grand buildings, anything you like, sunset, sunrise, rainy days, sunny days, and see what you can do. Make that one of your themes, just around where you live. And you'll be pleased that you have done it as the weeks and months and years go by, and you start to see patterns emerging and a style in your photography emerging too. So you can check that out at this website here, lakelandchronicles.com, and that's what I've got for you today. So I will leave you with what will I leave you with? I'll leave you with Dorothy's handmade table ornaments, and say thank you for watching. This has been a rather chaotic show because my computer crashed. Sorry about that. I've got an idea for a theme for the next 2 weeks. It's going to be a fortnightly theme. It's a very different theme from all of the other themes. Let me know what you think. You'll find it's rather strange and maybe rather weird and wonderful. So watch out for that in the next few hours. And thanks for watching. And I will be doing moving over again to another show on the Thursday, which will be about words. The photography show will move to a Tuesday, so it'll be Tuesday words, Tuesday photography, Thursday words, the next Tuesday creativity in general, the next Thursday Paris, and then back to photography. Thanks for watching, everyone. I appreciate you all. Thanks for your efforts. I'll be choosing 2 or 3 of my favorite shots for the winners. We're all winners, of course. If you contributed, you're a winner. And pointing out what I like about them in particular. So back to it's not raining in the Lake District anymore. Hey. See you again soon, friends. Bye for now.